If you're ready to be your own bank, start to generate passive income on your XRP, in today's update, we're going to talk about how that's about to become possible on the XRP ledger and how this ties into a massive opportunity for XRP in 2026. I'm going to break down why I think this is the year to capture this opportunity. We don't want to let this one pass us by. And the most recent hack exploit issue that we've had in the DeFi space exposes the opportunity for everyone to see. Will XRP capture it? Is it going to be another blockchain? Let's break it down here in today's update. My name is Zach Rector. I cover current events, financial markets, and the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. And if you appreciate our updates, please help us out by liking our videos, sharing them out far and wide. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our content. This is moving every single day. The crypto markets don't turn off. And so while we wait for the Sunday futures to open up later today, we'll see what happens with oil. We'll see if there is more peace talks, if President Trump puts out a tweet, if Iran does something. We'll be watching that situation this week, but I want to focus on crypto here in today's update. So let's take a quick look at the charts. Markets moving back down here as folks are realizing that, wait, weekend warrior Trump is back out. We might not have peace. It might not have opened back up over in the Strait of Hormuz. And so Bitcoin's coming back down along with the broader cryptocurrency space. The run up that we had last week was beautiful to 78,000, but it wasn't a full breakout. Same thing for XRP, back up to $1.50. Really love to see it, but it's not a full breakout, and so we're not going to get too excited yet. I still have my lower order set. And it was funny, yesterday in my Discord weekly call, we talked about how I didn't think that there was, any potential to have another FTX this bear market cycle. And I said I don't see any players out there that are as big as FTX was, where we could have any sort of issue like that would get too systemic. Well, crypto doing what crypto does immediately checked that thesis with this most recent exploit that we've seen in the DeFi. And it's starting to have ripple effects. So let's break down exactly what happened. I do believe that it might be part of the reason why you're seeing a sell-off in crypto right now. But I think the bigger force on the markets right now is just the fear, uncertainty, and doubt being caused by the war in the Middle East. But this DeFi issue, it's spreading quickly, and we've already seen about 10 billion pulled from DeFi protocols. The RS-ETH hack is leading to withdrawals across all lending protocols, even on Solana and unaffected protocols. Total DeFi, total value locked, dropped by almost $10 billion from this. So what happened here, so we break this down and make it simple for everybody to understand, is that's 10 billion of liquidity that's being pulled from DeFi protocols that was otherwise pledged. View it as deposits in, same thing as a deposit in a bank. These were crypto deposits in DeFi protocols. Varying DeFi protocols, they do different things, different yields, different programs. But in the past 24 hours, we've seen 10 billion pulled from these DeFi protocols. And so the ripple effects from this one exploit are being felt. Now, it's definitely not an FTX level of event. And that's the good news, is I don't think that we will have an FTX this bear market cycle. The bottom very well could be in, but all of this, in my opinion, is just healthy. It's a purge. We're cleaning up the space. If a protocol was meant to get hacked or could potentially get hacked, we need to just get that over with, get it over and done with. If some crypto companies are going to go bust this cycle, many have, we needed to get that over and done with. And the good thing about crypto being so over leveraged with 100 and 500x leverage capability is that when things turn south, they turn south quickly, especially in DeFi, because there's no stop, there's no circuit breaker. It's 24/7, 365. You're free to do what you need to do. And in this case, people have pulled out 10 billion of TVL in the past 24 hours. And this brings us to the unique opportunity for XRP to set the standard for DeFi. And because all of this is happening right now, and we're on the brink of the Clarity Act passing, this is why I think that 2026 is our year. We got to get this done now. Otherwise, we allow other chains, other competitor, chains to come in and eat up market share and be well positioned for the rotation out of Ethereum, DeFi protocols, other protocols that are just sketchy, end up getting exploited and hacked. We want to be ready for that rotation. Right? We've talked about the rotation from risk on to risk off, from precious metals back into crypto, from the stock market back to crypto. It's one of the few reasons why I'm actually cheering on the stock market rally last week. That's completely pumped up and fake based off of a stock market that's oblivious to the world war going on. And so we cheer that on because of the rotation back into crypto, right? The market cap of the S&P 500 has grown by like 5 trillion, just trillions of dollars of market cap added to the stocks, which can eventually rotate into crypto. So we're a fan of that. In the same way, we're going to see a rotation from all these DeFi protocols, Ethereum, these other chains. It's blowing up. It's not going good. And I want the XRP ledger to be ready. Now, we've added a significant amount of programmability to the XRP ledger over the past couple years. We added our AMMs. We started to add in some other functionality. And the beauty of this is that we're doing it without smart contracts. And that's typically where we're seeing the pinch point, the exploit, the opportunity for hackers and bad actors to come in is on those smart contracts, and especially smart contracts that are tied to bridges. So let's break down what's happening and how I think the XRP ledger can be uniquely positioned here. So someone stole a huge amount of a token called RSETH, worth about $300 million from Kelp DAO. They took that stolen token and deposited it as collateral on big lending platforms like Aave, which is the #1 DeFi platform, Aave. On those platforms, you can borrow real money, like Ethereum or stablecoins, by locking up more value in collateral than what you borrow. Because the RSETH was fake, stolen, and its value could crash, the platform now risks bad debt that they might not get back the real money that was borrowed against it. This creates a chain reaction, some might call it a ripple effect, where other protocols freeze everything. People panic and the whole system shakes because one bad collateral can spread losses everywhere. It's like a house of cards where one weak link threatens the rest. This is classic over-collateralized DeFi, where anyone, even anonymously, can borrow as long as they put up extra collateral. But the problem here is if the collateral turns out to be worthless or hacked, it can create big problems that spill over to innocent users and other protocols. So I asked Grok to give me the most dumbed-down, simple analogy. And here's what we got. Think of it like this. You let someone borrow $100 from the bank by putting up a $150 painting as collateral. Now later you discover that the painting was stolen and it's actually worthless. So you can't sell the painting to get your $100 back, and you now have $100 of bad debt. In normal DeFi, everything is automatic and permissionless. Anyone can do it. That's why one big hack can create bad debt that ripples everywhere. That's exactly what's happening right now with RSETH and why protocols are scrambling to contain it before the losses get bigger. So what happens here is the protocol loses real money. In this case, Aave has a hole in its books, and that bad debt can eat into the platform's safety reserves, and it even could become insolvent. Now, other protocols and users who also hold RSETH as collateral are now at risk of the same thing because the value of RSETH is going to go to basically nothing. So this causes ripple effects across not just the initial protocol that gets hacked, but other protocols as well. Now, what's the opportunity for XRP specific to this issue? We're about to add our lending protocol, which is XLS66. It's on-chain lending on the XRP ledger, where you'll be able to either be a lender or a borrower on the XRP ledger. Now, Vet, one of our validators, he put out a nice post right here explaining the current compromise, the situation, and notes how the XRP ledger is going to be different. It's more like TradFi. So what I had Grok break this down, quick side-by-side comparison, and explain how the XLS66 lending protocol on the XRP ledger is going to be different. So instead of requiring borrowers to lock up a bunch of extra collateral, loans would be uncollateralized, no big pile of tokens locked up. So it works more like traditional finance or banks, where lenders check who the borrower is off-chain. Know your customer style screening, credit checks, knowing the person or institution. And loans are fixed term with set repayment schedules handled on the ledger for clear records and settlement. So if someone does default, the loss stays isolated to that specific loan or vault. It doesn't automatically create bad debt that spreads and threatens the whole protocol. There's also a first loss capital buffer to protect regular lenders a bit. So on the side-by-side comparison, you see right here, current platforms like Aave, where this issue is taking place. And remember, the issue wasn't on Aave originally. It was some other token that got hacked. They stole $300 million worth, and then they deploy it as good collateral into Aave. So most over-collateralize where you can, you put up more than you borrow, which sounds safe, right? It's a good measure. If you're having to put up more than you borrow, well, then there shouldn't be an issue, right? Well, the problem is if your collateral goes to zero or is bad, or in this case, stolen, that's where you have an issue. Anyone anonymously can borrow. And what happens here is that if something goes wrong, you get contagion where bad debt can spread across protocols. The capital efficiency part, you tie up lots of money, so it's a lower amount of capital efficiency. Versus on the XRP ledger where you don't have to put up any money in some instances. So your capital efficiency is magnitudes higher. The main trade-off is it's permissionless and automatic, but systemic risks over an Aave and other protocols similar. And with the XRP ledger lending protocol, you're going to get a more trusted, checked, but less anonymous environment. But after we get the Clarity Act signed, this needs to be regulated. It's going to be regulated, and it needs to be compliant. Now, going through the rest of the side-by-side comparison on the XLS66 approach, you'll see here that for collateral, you're usually putting up none. Loans are based on trust and credit worthiness, similar to traditional finance. Who can borrow? Well, you're going to be screened. The lender needs to know and assess the borrower. Now, the risk if something goes wrong, it's mostly going to be isolated to that one loan or vault. As far as capital efficiency, well, if you have to put zero money down, no collateral, well, then you're going to have way more capital efficiency, much higher capital efficiency. And the main trade-off is that it's just not going to be anonymous. It's just going to be trusted and checked like you would get from TradFi or banks. In short, the current mesh shows the downside of no questions asked, just post collateral lending, versus the XRP ledger idea aims for safer, more efficient lending by adding real-world style checks and isolating problems instead of letting them ripple everywhere. It has upsides, better capital use and less spillover, and downsides like it's not anonymous and it requires a level of trust between the parties, which not much of a loss, not much of a trade-off there. I mean, at this point in the game, if you're still trying to be anonymous, I mean, come on. If I want to move anonymous, you guys know what I'm using. I'm not using any sort of cryptocurrency. I have been bearish on privacy coins forever. I mean, despite I actually called the top on Zcash. So I missed the run up, but I did call the top. But I've been bearish on all privacy coins because ultimately I believe that our government, along with the technology and quantum computing on the way, they'll be able to get through all of the privacy layers that we try to put on that. So if I want to move, I'll just grab my silver or cash. But in this way, we lose nothing, right? You can't do anonymous lending on the XRPL. Okay, well, that wouldn't be compliant with the regulations that we want our ledger to comply with anyways. Right? Especially if you want to get institutional adoption and you want to see institutions start to use these protocols as well too. And so this is why, in conclusion, this is a huge opportunity for the XRP ledger to get our DeFi in order, do it in a way that doesn't involve the smart contracts. All of our programmability and functions are being added directly to the protocol layer. So there's nothing that can be tweaked within a smart contract for some protocol, some pool over here. There's nothing that you can change to create that exploit. There's no smart contract to put a bug in because it's all native to the XRP Ledger protocol itself. Now, this differs from Ethereum, where all these various smart contracts are created that create all these separate pools and protocols and different things. That's not going to happen over here on the XRP Ledger, and I think that it's going to add a level of security and safety to our DeFi ecosystem that a lot of participants are going to want to be in. And I'm talking about retail, and I'm also talking about institutions. Once again, we've added permission domains and permission DEX, which are also native features to the XRP Ledger, but we've added the permissioned aspect to it, which allows institutions, banks, or anybody else that needs to come into a compliant pool that meets all of the regulations, meets all of the standards and laws. It's a permissioned environment where everybody knows, all of the banks, all of the participants, all of the institutions within this pool are supposed to be there. This is the difference between XRP DeFi and where we've seen all these other issues. And we're not going to get mass adoption as long as we keep on having these, $100 million, $1 billion issues and exploits and hacks. How do you bring on the masses when that's what they have to be worried about? It's not going to happen. So not only is this a bullish opportunity for XRP, it's an opportunity for us to set the standard for all DeFi and crypto altogether. And I really hope that we can capture it. So make sure you guys subscribe and stick along with me on this journey as XRP DeFi matures. What I'm going to be doing is conducting due diligence on all of these platforms and providers to let you guys know where we see opportunity, where we get scared, where we make money, where we lose money, and everything in between. If you appreciated this breakdown, please help us out by liking this video, sharing it out far and wide. And all of our community resources can be found at my website, zachrector.com. Greatly helps us, and we appreciate your support. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Stay safe out there. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.